Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to a Magic the Gathering top 10 list. And in all honesty, this is kind of a top 10 list, but also kind of a special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. So today we're going to look at the top 10 highest priced Eternal Masters pre-order singles. Now at the time of filming this video, we're about a week away from the Eternal Masters launch, and we're kind of in this awkward time period where we've seen all the spoilers, we've reviewed the set, we kind of know what's going to be in there and what rarity levels, but we're still kind of trying to figure out what these should be valued at as singles. So the prices you're going to see today are prices as of the filming of this video. They're probably going to change drastically over the next few days and weeks, so stay very close to the market when it comes to singles purchases. But today we're going to look at the hottest 10 as of right now, what they're valued at, and are they a good investment at that value. Now normally I don't recommend pre-ordering many cards prior to the set coming out, due to the fact that once packs get cracked, it's a lot easier to get product and there's more competition. You'll get a better deal for yourself. The only problem with this product is there's already such a low print run, especially for mythics, that it might not matter as much as a normal set. So let's jump in, see what we got. Coming in at number 10 is Sneak Attack, and this right now is valued at about $28, and it is a mythic, so over a long period of time this will definitely hold its value and increase in value. However, I think you might be able to get this card a little bit cheaper right after the set's launched. Once the set's launched and people start cracking packs, you might be able to pick up a Sneak Attack slightly cheaper than this, but again, long-term investment, it's still going to be fantastic long-term investment even if you did pick this up at $28. Now the reason is Sneak Attack is a little bit of a niche card. It definitely sees play in Legacy, and it does see play in other formats as well, but those other formats you pretty much only want one copy. Legacy, you really don't need a 4 of Sneak Attack in your deck for the deck to work, so it's not a deck that everyone's going to be trying to get 4 copies of. I think the foil of this will be pretty big, so a lot of Q players, Commander players would probably just prefer to have the foil anyway, as long as they can afford to get it, but for the most part this will still have some great long-term value, but just be careful right now in the pre-order season picking this up. Number 9, Entomb. So Entomb's going for about $30. This is a rare, so again, I think once packs start getting open, you might be able to get this a little bit cheaper than $30. I kind of hope this will drop to maybe around the $20-$25 mark, but again, I think this is an amazing long-term investment because the art on this card is just so good. I think players are going to want to gravitate to this version of the card because this is one of the better pieces of art from the new set. So look back at the original Modern Masters, for example. There was a lot of cards with new art that was very good art that have never been reprinted in that art, and those tend to go for a little bit of cash. I think Entomb is going to be one of those cards from this set. Vampiric Tutor. So interesting, it's going for about $30, which is what a Vampiric Tutor is going to cost you if you bought one of the original versions today. So that's probably a pretty fair price for this. Again, the art is very strong on this card, and this one has the added bonus of being a mythic. So I think if you were to pick up a Vampiric Tutor for $30, I think that would be just fine. It's going to go up over time. The only thing that's a little awkward about this card is no one really needs more than one of these. So again, the foil market will probably be huge for this, but it's a card that's banned in Legacy. It's restricted in Vintage. You can definitely play it in Cube or in Commander, but again, you just only need one copy of the card. So that's going to hurt it from going probably much higher than maybe a $40-$50 card over a long period of time. So don't expect it to become like the next Tarmogoyf or anything like that, but it will probably sit around $30 and be pretty stable for a while there. Number 7 is Natural Order. Again, another card that is about valued at what the regular original versions were valued at. So again, it's probably going to sit in that $30-$35 range for a little while. It's a mythic, but some decks do run more than one of these, so that's where the big difference is from Vampiric Tutor, and over time I think this card has a better potential to get some long-term investment value. So if you pick one of these up for maybe $25-$30 over the next couple weeks, hang on to it. I think a year or 2 years down the road this could be a $40, $50, $60 card pretty easily. Number 6 is Balance. Now here's another mythic, but this one's about $33, $38 right now. I think that's a tad high for Balance, and here's why. It is a mythic. It's got beautiful art. This is the Judge's promo art. Again, the foil is going to be off the hook for this card, but the fact that if I really want a Balance and I want a budget version of Balance, I can pick up the 4th edition version. Even the revised version doesn't cost that much. maybe they don't look as pretty, but they still do the exact same thing. And guess what? Nobody needs more than one balance. Again, this is another card that is banned in Legacy, restricted in Vintage. It's not even Commander playable. It's banned there as well. So it really makes a very small pigeonhole of players that want this card. Basically, you're looking at cube players and maybe some Vintage players that may want a nicer looking copy. And let's face it, a lot of them are going to want the foil version over the regular version. So don't pick up balance right now. This is going to come down. I could see this going down to maybe a $15 card or so within the next few weeks. So I would stay away from this one. Coming in number 5 is Wasteland. And this one's a rare, about $50. Now, I think this is actually a pretty fair price for Wasteland. Wasteland and Force of Will are the two cards that were spoiled way back in February when they first announced the set. So we've known they were coming. We've known they've had new art. We know what rarity they were for a long time. So it gave us all a lot of time to digest what we would pay for a Wasteland. And I think $50 is about probably what we're going to pay for a Wasteland. Granted, this is a rare, not a mythic, so I think once packs start getting open, you might be able to get some of these for maybe $40, $45 for a short period of time, but once that product kind of leaves circulation, guess what? This will easily be $50 again, then probably $60, and over a year or two, probably even more. So now we're assuming there's not going to be an Eternal Masters 2 in 2 years. Maybe they will do that, much like Modern Masters repeat some of these cards to keep their value in check. But you never know. And if the card doesn't come back in the second edition of the set, then it can really potentially go up in value quite a bit, because then you may have another 2 years before you have another opportunity to reprint it. So, yeah, Wasteland is going to be a fine investment. Feel good if you can pick these up between $40 and $50. Number 4, Jace the Mind Sculptor. And here's another mythic, $72. Now, Jace is maybe not as good as he used to be. However, Jace is very iconic. This card is kind of like the modern version of Black Lotus. When people think of Magic, they think of Jace the Mind Sculptor. It's one of those cards that is just something people want to have in their collection, whether they're playing with it or not. So unfortunately, I think Jace is going to, for the most part, hold his value. And I don't know if he's going to go a whole lot higher than $72. I do think in a few weeks when packs get cracked, he'll probably come down to maybe $60, $65 for a short period of time. But I expect him to kind of sit in the $70 range. And it's kind of like Tarmogoyf. If Tarmogoyf just stopped seeing play tomorrow, people would still pay $180 for Tarmogoyf, I think, because it's Tarmogoyf, and people are just used to seeing that card at that value. I think Jace is kind of the same thing. I think people are comfortable spending $70 to $90 for Jace, and that's why it's going to probably sit in the $70, $75 range for a very long time. Number 3, Force of Will. This one's coming in about $94. And unfortunately, I think this is pretty much what you can expect to pay for a Force of Will. It is a mythic. It's got amazing new Therese Nielsen art. The foils, again, are going to be crazy for this card. The original one was only printed in foil in a promo version. So now you have this new art that's amazing. That will be awesome looking in foil, I'm sure. So watch out for this one. Again, this is a card that people can play 4 of in Legacy decks and want to in many decks. So there's going to be demand for this card. Now, what's interesting is you can get the original version of Force of Will actually cheaper than this version right now. But I don't think that's going to last long either. I think that version is going to start creeping up. I think the original took a little bit of hit because people were afraid that it could lose some value when Eternal Masters did come out. But let's face it, this card coming out in the Mythic slot is really not going to change much. You might be able to pick these up maybe for $80, $85 if you're really lucky right after launch, but I think it's going to sit around the $90 range for a while, and then as soon as this product's out of circulation, it's going to start going up. A good investment actually might be the original version. You can get it slightly cheaper, and that is still going to just go up and go up and go up, especially once people realize that this isn't going to impact the market that much. Number 2 is Caracas, and this is about $95 right now. This is another kind of awkward one that you can't play in certain formats like Commander. However, it does see a fair amount of play in places in, say, Legacy. Again, it's not a card that people are looking to have 4 ofs in all their decks or anything like that, but 1 or 2 copies of Caracas sometimes do show up in deck lists. So this is a card that is probably going to sit around the $95 mark as well, again, because it's Mythic. Now, the original version is worth about $150 or so. So looking at this version, I think once packs start being opened, it'll probably come down a little bit. You might be able to get this for like 80 if you're lucky those first few weeks. But again, once product dries up, this is going to just start climbing up to get closer to its original version from Legends. Now again, this is another card that only saw foil in the promo version, so again, expect to see foils of these going for a fair amount of money. Yeah, number 1 is Mana Crypt, and this is a mythic coming in at about $132 right now. And this is interesting because much like a card like, say, Vampiric Tutor, there's really no reason to have more than one of this. You can only play one in Vintage. You can't play in Legacy. If you're playing Cube or Commander, you can play one. So you just don't need more than one, and a lot of those players may be interested in the foil, which I'm sure the foil is going to be very, very expensive once those start coming out into the market. I'm almost scared to even imagine what they'll try to sell those for. I'm thinking probably close to $300, right? I do think this is going to drop a little bit once packs start to get open. One of the reasons, of course, like I stated, you only need one copy of this. Secondly, the original Mana Crypt, the reason it was a $170 card is because it was extremely rare. Once these start hitting the market, you're probably going to have more copies of this out there than the original version ever was printed. So even though this is very limited, it's still going to be a lot more than probably what was sent out from the coupon exchange back in the mid-90s. So I think that's going to affect the value of this card and potentially the original version quite a bit. You do have to keep in mind too, even though this is a cube card, it doesn't mean I want to have this in all my cubes. This is really a power cube card, and if I'm not running a power cube, I probably am not running Mana Crypt, at least if I'm trying to keep my cube balanced. So it's not even a card that everyone's going to want for their even Vintage Cube or Commander decks. So yeah, I'd be very careful to pre-order this one at $132. I do think give this one a few weeks, maybe a month or so once product's out there. I feel like you may be able to get this for about $60, $70 realistically, maybe even less potentially. This is an awesome card. It's incredible, but it can only fit into certain places. And because of that, I just think this is a little bit of a inflated price due to the hype. So having said that, that is the top 10 list for today. Hope that helps. Like I said, those are my best guesses anyway, what I think is going to happen with some of these hot singles. And definitely singles are the way to go if you have X amount of money to spend on a product. Unless you really are into drafting or playing sealed or what have you, I would definitely save my money to buy the singles that I want to build the decks that I need or to add to my cube in this case. You'll really make your money go a longer way than just buying packs and then getting a number of packs that won't have value for you personally. So as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality videos for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a good day.